Have you ever watched a moment so pure, so unexpected, that it shattered every wall you've built around your heart? What if one kind gesture, just a single act of unfiltered compassion, could undo years of pain, prejudice, and emotional distance? This is the story of a billionaire father, broken behind his fortune, a waitress with a hidden past, and a boy who simply wanted to dance. By the end of this story you might just believe again in people, in goodness, in hope. The Grand Mirabella was more than a hotel. It was an empire. Polished marble floors. Crystal chandeliers the size of small cars. The smell of old money lingered in every hallway. Oakwood, imported cologne, and whispers of powerful deals made over decades. Elliot Thatcher, billionaire, widower, and CEO of the Thatcher Global Trust, stood in the ballroom, watching everyone but not really seeing anyone. His 9-year-old son Liam sat quietly near a corner table, his small frame hunched in a custom wheelchair, nervously tugging at his sleeve. Born with cerebral palsy, Liam had never walked unaided. And Elliot? Well, he'd never fully accepted that. Not out loud. Not even to himself. The room was buzzing with celebration. It was the company's annual gala. Waiters moved swiftly with trays of champagne. Musicians played a soft jazz tune. Laughter filled the air. But for Elliot, none of it mattered. Not tonight. Not since Sarah, his wife, passed away 3 years ago. His smile died with her. That's when she walked in. Amara James wasn't supposed to be there. She was covering a shift for someone else. Her black uniform was slightly faded. Her sneakers clean but worn. Her braids tied neatly into a bun. She carried herself with the grace of someone who had known hardship, and refused to let it harden her. She moved differently than the other servers. She noticed things, like how little Liam's eyes lit up when the band started playing. How no one asked him to dance. How Elliot, his own father, barely looked his way. After delivering wine to table 9, Amara knelt beside Liam's chair. She didn't speak down to him. She didn't overcompensate. She just smiled. "You like the music?" she asked gently. Liam hesitated, then nodded. "I used to dance too," she whispered. "Want me to show you something?" His eyes widened. I can't dance." He grinned. "Says who?" And in that moment, she did something no one had ever dared. She stood up, held out her hand, and said, "You lead. I'll follow." At first, it looked like a quiet moment between a kind woman and a lonely child. But then, the music shifted. Amara began gently stepping in rhythm, moving side to side. Liam, giggling now, raised his trembling hand and motioned. A small flick, then a circle. She mirrored it perfectly. It wasn't a traditional dance. It was something else, something sacred. A little boy learning what it meant to be seen. A father watching something break in his chest. Elliot froze, champagne glass in hand, as the crowd slowly turned toward the pair. Whispers began. Cameras were lifted. But Amara didn't notice. She only had eyes for Liam. "Look at him," someone gasped. "He's dancing." Elliot's throat tightened. For years he'd poured money into therapy, private doctors, robotic exorcists, searching for a cure. But he'd never once knelt beside his son and danced. He blinked hard, swallowing shame. Then, almost involuntarily, he walked over. Elliot reached the circle that had now formed around Liam and Amara. He watched silently as Liam spun his hands again and Amara twirled. Then Liam looked up. "Dad," he whispered. "Dance with us." The words hit Elliot like a lightning bolt. And in front of 300 elite guests, Elliot Thatcher did something no one had ever seen him do. He cried. And then he knelt. Slowly, awkwardly, but with full surrender. He held his son's small hand in his. Amara stepped back, letting father and son take the lead. The crowd stood still. The boy smiled wider than ever before. For once, not because someone was trying to fix him, but because someone chose to join him. After the gala ended, Elliot found Amara folding linens near the kitchen. He walked in, eyes red, voice unsteady. Who are you? He asked. He paused. Just a waitress. At least, tonight. He smiled weakly. You did more for my son in 5 minutes than I've done in 5 years. She hesitated, then shared something she'd never told anyone at that hotel. I had a little brother, she said. Jalen. He had the same condition as Liam. Elliot froze. He was the best dancer I knew. Couldn't walk without help, but when music played, he moved. I used to be embarrassed of him. Until one day I wasn't. But by then he was gone. Silence. I dance with every kid like he's Jalen. I think he'd want that. Elliot's voice cracked. Would you ever consider working with Liam? Not as a nurse. As a friend. She looked up. Only if he leads. Months later, at a school performance, Liam was on stage. Center spotlight. His wheelchair had LED lights now. He wore a vest and bow tie. The music started. And from the wings, Amara joined him. So did Elliot. This time it was a choreographed number. Audience members wept openly. Teachers hugged each other. And when it ended, Liam shouted into the mic, I can dance. The crowd erupted. Elliot hugged him tightly. Not a single person saw a disability that night. They saw a boy and his joy. Sometimes the most powerful change doesn't come from wealth, technology, or even love. Comes from kindness. One quiet, brave moment. When someone chooses to see another person fully. That night, a billionaire's heart was changed forever. Not by a doctor or a deal, but by a waitress with a memory. And a boy who wanted to dance. Can you imagine the ripple that one act of kindness could cause? So what about you? Will you be someone's Amara? If this story touched you, leave a comment, share a kindness you've experienced, or tag someone who needs to hear this. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and watch the next story. We've got another one that'll move you just as deeply. Because kindness always finds a way.